Imagine you're driving down a quiet rural American road when suddenly your GPS signal drops, the radio plays nothing but Elvis, and the neon sign ahead doesn't say Starbucks, but Floyd's Barber Shop. Yes, while the world is obsessed with app updates and artificial intelligence, there are places that chose to hit pause in the 1960s and never pressed play again. We're not talking about dusty museums or boring ghost towns, but living communities, places that still breathe, work, and quietly refuse to follow the exhausting rush of modern life. Get ready and welcome to 15 towns that turn the past into everyday reality. We begin in Mount Airy, a town that doesn't just remember the 1960s, it still lives in them. This is the real-life inspiration for the fictional town of Mayberry in the Andy Griffith Show, the classic American sitcom that aired from 1960 to 1968. What's interesting is that Mount Airy isn't just a pilgrimage site for classic TV fans. It's a real town of about 10,000 residents that truly preserves the rhythm of that era. You can still get a haircut at the legendary Floyd City Barber Shop, or eat lunch at Snappy Lunch, the only real business ever mentioned by name on the show. Data shows the town attracts more than 70,000 tourists each year just to experience the calm pace of life circa 1962. Seeing old-style police squad cars on patrol here isn't a performance, it's normal life. Leaving the lowlands of North Carolina, we climb to an elevation of 9,318 feet in Silverton. This town defines isolation. There's only one road in and one road out. Silverton doesn't need laws to ban modern franchises like McDonald's. Nature already did that for them. With a population of just around 600 people, the town feels like a spaghetti western movie set updated for the 1960s. Its main attraction is the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad, a steam train that has operated continuously since 1882, dropping passengers right onto a main street that's still not fully paved. The local economy depends on seasonal tourism and old mining routes, creating a community that values fixing a carburetor far more than chasing a 5G signal that barely exists here. After the thin mountain air of Colorado, we move to the quiet riverbanks of central Illinois. Here, we find Havana, the kind of town that makes you feel like you should put on a neat shirt and comb your hair before walking down Main Street. Modernity seems politely turned away at the city limits. One of its most iconic sites is a local movie theater that still uses a 35mm film projector, resisting digital upgrades to preserve the visual texture of the past. Local economic data shows the cost of living here is nearly 23% lower than the national average, allowing antique shops and old-school coffee counters to survive without heavy commercial pressure. A unique fact, Havana has more antique stores than traffic lights. What stays with visitors is the feeling that gossip at the hardware store travels faster than social media, creating a warm, genuinely rural atmosphere that feels untouched by time. Next is Bristol, a town where the American flag isn't just seasonal decoration, it's an identity stitched directly into the pavement. Yes, Bristol proudly holds the title of hosting the oldest continuous Independence Day celebration in the United States, dating back to 1785. That said, the spirit of the 1960s still feels deeply embedded in the town's layout and social behavior. Its main street is literally painted in red, white, and blue. With a crime rate only about half the national average, Bristol offers a sense of safety that many people associate only with stories from the past. The local economy is still largely rooted in shipbuilding and maritime industries. giving the town a steady scent of sea salt and fresh wood paint that has lingered for generations. From the orderly East Coast, we head southwest to a hidden valley filled with unexpected color. Bisbee was once one of the busiest copper mining towns in the region, but when the mine shut down in the mid-1970s, something unusual happened. Artists, writers, and hippies moved into the small hillside homes, freezing the town's aesthetic right at that moment of transition. Walking through Bisbee means navigating steep streets that are often impractical for cars, naturally forcing people to walk and interact. There are no fast food chains here. Instead, you'll find cave bars and haunted hotels that still preserve their original interiors. Then there's Saugatuck, often called the Art Coast of Michigan. But for visitors, it feels like stepping straight into a 1965 summer vacation. One of its most fascinating features is the Saugatuck Chain Ferry, the only remaining hand-powered ferry in the United States, operated using a chain and hand crank. This ferry has crossed the Kalamazoo River since 1838 and was never replaced by a modern bridge in order to preserve the town's character. Downtown is lined with pastel-colored buildings, with Motown music drifting out of shop speakers. Even though property prices have begun to rise due to growing popularity, the local community remains determined to protect its small businesses from corporate takeover, keeping the rural Michigan soul alive and intact. Pushing deeper into the Kansas prairie, we arrive in a town devoted to a war hero. Abilene doesn't try to look retro, it's simply consistent. As the hometown of Dwight D. Eisenhower, the entire town feels like a tribute to the integrity and calm of the 1950s and 1960s. With a stable population of around 6,400, Abilene offers a lifestyle where physical newspapers are still tossed onto front lawns every morning. The cost of living here sits about 26% below the national average, allowing older generations to remain in their historic homes. One unique detail: there are almost no tall buildings blocking the view of the town's iconic water tower. Abilene feels like a living symbol of America's backbone, steady, grounded, and unwilling to bend with modern trends. Many people assume the Woodstock Festival of 1969 happened here, but it didn't. Still, the town of Woodstock absorbed its spirit completely. Walking along Tinker Street feels like stepping into a time machine filled with the scent of incense and bursts of tie-dye color. The town has managed to commercialize 1960s nostalgia without losing its soul. Even though it's now a popular escape for wealthy New York City residents, Woodstock maintains strict zoning rules to keep chain stores out. Drum circles still form in the afternoons, and independent bookstores continue to resist selling ebooks. This is counterculture that never quite packed up and left. Now prepare for something a little strange while driving across the wide emptiness of South Dakota. If you travel hundreds of miles along Interstate 90, you'll see countless billboards, many promising free ice water. That's your sign you're approaching Wall, a town that exists almost entirely for one thing: Wall Drug. With a population of around 750, Wall is proof that 1960s-era marketing creativity can save a town from disappearing. Wall Drug started as a nearly bankrupt pharmacy, then transformed into a massive destination that feels like a classic roadside amusement park. Here, you can still buy cowboy boots, see an animatronic T-Rex, and drink coffee for 5 cents, a price that hasn't changed in decades. Wall proves that a little rural weirdness can become a timeless charm. Next is Mineral Point, the first city in Wisconsin to be listed on the National Register of Historic Places, and they take that status seriously. Founded by miners from Cornwall, England, the town's limestone architecture gives it the feel of a European village stranded in the middle of America. In the 1960s, Mineral Point began an economic revival through the arts, but artists made a deliberate choice to keep every architectural detail authentic. There are no flashy modern neon signs here. Instead, you'll find working blacksmith shops and a community that would rather host pie contests than tech product launches. Interestingly, unemployment here is very low, proving that a preservation-based economy can be both sustainable and relevant. Now let's shift to the West Coast, to a town built on wood, tradition, and dairy history. Hidden among the redwoods of Northern California, Ferndale feels like a place laminated by time. Known as the Cream City because of its prosperous dairy past, Ferndale's entire Main Street is a protected historic district. Its Victorian buildings are painted in bright, carefully maintained colors, creating a striking contrast against the Pacific fog that often rolls through town. Ferndale still has no traffic lights at all. Residents are fiercely protective of their history. They'd rather walk to the local grocery store than drive to a nearby city for a modern supermarket. Few places reject modernity as completely as Mackinac Island. Since 1898, motor vehicles have been banned on the island. That means the sounds you wake up to aren't car horns, but horse hooves and bicycle bells. Even though the island is a tourist destination, there's a permanent local community living a deeply traditional rural life. Logistics, fire services, and even trash collection all rely on horse-drawn transport. One fascinating fact: every year, more than 500 horses are brought to the island to support its daily life and economy. Back on the East Coast, we arrive at a town that feels like a painting brought to life. Berlin, Maryland has been used twice as a filming location for major movies: Runaway Bride, 1999, and Tuck Everlasting, 2002, for one simple reason: it looks almost too perfect to exist in the 21st century. Downtown Berlin is a textbook example of mid-century rural design, with wide sidewalks and family-owned shops now run by third-generation owners. The town is consistently named one of budget travel's coolest small towns, proving that preserving an old identity is often the best way to attract a new generation hungry for authenticity. Meanwhile, Galena is a town that refuses to be flattened by modern concrete. Set among hills untouched by ancient glaciers, its layout follows the land's natural curves, creating dramatic views at every turn. More than 85% of Galena's buildings are part of a national historic district. Once home to 9 Civil War generals, including Ulysses S. Grant, Galena today is defined by its beautifully curved Main Street, lined with independent boutiques and coffee shops that reject global standardization. Life here revolves around community festivals and an appreciation for architectural details in wood and brick that are rarely produced anymore. Our final stop, Madison, stands proudly along the banks of the Ohio River as a living monument to the golden age of river transportation. Madison contains one of the largest historic districts in the United States, spanning more than 130 city blocks. The atmosphere is thick with classic 1960s Americana. The town is known for its iconic Broadway fountain and well-kept public parks. Its residents are famous for genuine rural friendliness, where neighbors truly look out for one another, in the best sense of the word. Madison is the perfect closing note for this journey, a town that proves the past can be lovingly preserved without becoming rigid or lifeless. Together, these 15 towns prove that progress doesn't always require destroying what already exists. They survive not because they can't change, but because they consciously choose to protect something more valuable: human connection, local character, and a pace of life that feels truly human. In a world that grows more uniform and rushed by the day, these towns act as quiet beacons, inviting us to slow down and breathe. Which leaves us with one final question: are these places really left behind by time? Or are we the ones moving so fast that we've lost our sense of direction and our idea of what home truly means? If you were given the chance to step away from modern technology today and move to one of these towns, could you live without fast internet in exchange for a warm greeting on your front porch?